There is a strange kind of power in silence. Not the awkward silence, not the angry silence, but the quiet space where words could exist, yet don't. Have you ever noticed how silence can make love feel heavier, deeper, more real? How one unanswered message can stir more emotion than 1,000 words ever could? We live in a world addicted to noise. Explanations, reassurance, constant emotional updates, and yet the moments that stay with us the longest are often the moments where nothing was said at all. A look that lingered, a goodbye without closure, a pause that felt alive. Why does silence pull at the heart like this? Why does the absence of words sometimes create more emotional intensity than their presence? Tonight, we explore a quiet truth most people never fully understand: that silence in love is not emptiness. It is psychological gravity. And if you don't understand it, it can destroy you. But if you do, it can transform the way you love forever. Silence hurts because it forces us to face ourselves. When words disappear, the mind rushes in to fill the gap, and the mind is rarely kind. We start asking questions that have no immediate answers. Did I matter? Did I say something wrong? Was the love real or imagined? In love, silence removes certainty, and the human nervous system craves certainty more than pleasure. This is why unanswered messages feel heavier than rejection. Rejection gives form to pain. Silence gives it infinite space. In that space, we project our deepest fears. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being unchosen. Fear of being replaceable. The silence itself is neutral, but what it awakens inside us is not. We suffer not because the other person is quiet, but because silence mirrors the parts of us that still seek validation. This is the hidden suffering of modern love. We don't just want connection. We want reassurance that we are enough. And when silence arrives, it feels like emotional free fall. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Silence is not attacking you. It is revealing you. Silence creates power because it removes control. In psychology, the one who needs less explanation holds more emotional gravity, not because they are superior, but because they are not chasing certainty. Words are tools of control. We speak to clarify, to persuade, to secure an outcome. Silence does the opposite. It allows ambiguity to exist, and the human mind cannot ignore ambiguity. It circles it obsessively. This is why silence often feels strong. It is not manipulation by default. It is psychological space. In that space, attachment is revealed. The more attached we are, the louder silence becomes. The less attached we are, the quieter it feels. This is not about playing games. It is about emotional self-sufficiency. When someone can remain silent without anxiety, it signals something deep to the nervous system of the other person. I am okay within myself. That message is felt, not heard. Love, at its core, is not built on words. It is built on presence, grounding, and emotional independence. Silence amplifies whatever foundation already exists. If the foundation is fear, silence becomes torture. If the foundation is wholeness, silence becomes peace. This is why silence is powerful. It exposes where love is rooted. I once knew a man who lost the love of his life without a single argument. No shouting, no betrayal, no dramatic ending, just distance. At first, he tried to fix it with words, long messages, careful explanations. Emotional honesty poured onto the screen. And the more he spoke, the smaller he felt. Then one day, he stopped. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but because he was tired of begging to be understood. In that silence, something unexpected happened. He began to hear himself again. He noticed how much of his love had become fear in disguise, how often he spoke not from truth, but from anxiety. Weeks passed. The other person eventually reached out. And in that moment, the power had shifted, not because he withheld words, but because he no longer needed them to feel whole. The silence didn't bring her back forever, but it brought him back to himself. And that changed the trajectory of every relationship that followed. Sometimes silence doesn't save the relationship. It saves the person. There is a moment in life when you realize something quietly profound. Not all silence is loss. Some silence is liberation. When you stop filling every gap with explanation, when you stop proving your worth with words, something inside you stands taller. Silence, then, is no longer absence. It is a boundary. It says, I will not chase connection at the cost of my dignity. I will not explain myself into exhaustion. I trust that what is real does not require constant maintenance. This is the awakening. Love does not deepen through overexposure. It deepens through resonance. Two grounded people do not need constant reassurance. Their presence speaks louder than language. And here is the paradox. When you stop trying to be heard, you become impossible to ignore. Not because you are cold, but because you are centered. Silence, when rooted in self-respect, becomes emotional clarity. It separates attachment from love, fear from devotion, need from choice. This is where love matures. Silence is not something you do to someone. It is something you become comfortable with inside yourself. Here is the wisdom most people miss. Silence only has power when it is honest. If silence is used to punish, it poisons connection. If it is used to hide fear, it creates distance. But if it rises naturally from self-grounding, it becomes calm authority. So how do you practice this in real life? First, speak when you are clear, not when you are anxious. Words spoken from fear weaken their own meaning. Second, allow space after truth is expressed. Let the other person respond without pressure. Love cannot breathe under constant demand. Third, learn to tolerate uncertainty. This is emotional strength, the ability to remain peaceful without immediate reassurance. Fourth, observe how people respond to your silence. Not their words, but their behavior. Silence reveals intentions more clearly than conversation ever could. And finally, never abandon yourself to maintain connection. The moment you feel smaller for being honest, silence may be your soul asking for alignment. Silence is not withdrawal. It is discernment. In the end, love does not ask us to speak more. It asks us to listen, to the pauses, to the space between words, to what remains when all explanations fall away. Silence is where truth settles. Not the truth we perform, but the truth we live. When you are at peace with silence, you no longer fear being misunderstood. You no longer chase closure. You no longer beg love to stay. You allow it. And what is meant for you will lean in. What is not will fade without drama. This is the quiet strength of a grounded heart. A heart that knows real love does not echo loudly. It resonates deeply. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer another human being is not your words, but your calm, unshaken presence.